Today we're going to divide integers. You are going to take everything you already know about division and you're just going to add a little change of negative and positive numbers. So let's get started. Make sure you have your doodle notes and some markers. Today we're going to ask ourselves over and over again how many groups of are there in the total, and that will help us figure out the answers. The same rules as multiplying integers apply when we're dividing integers, and you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. Now let's just get started. We have 8 positives, and we're taking that and we're dividing it by 4. So how many groups of 4 can we get out of 8? I'm going to circle. Here's one group of 4. Here's the other group of 4. It looks like it will be 2. Okay, those are both positive, so this is a very easy one. Now, if I look to the right, both of these are negatives. I wonder what we'll get. Will we end up with a positive or a negative? Well, we have 6 negatives, and we need to find out how many negative 2's we can fit in negative 6. So I'm going to go ahead and circle groups of negative 2. There's 1, 2, whoa, and 3. That's 3 groups. 3 groups. Okay. Now the next one gets a little trickier. The first number is negative, but the second number is positive. So what I'm going to do is divide negative 15 into 5 equal groups. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to just make negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, almost done, 13, 14, 15. Make sure you've done that as well. I'm going to just change the color so you can see better. How many are in each group? 3 negatives. So the answer here is negative 3. We weren't looking for the number of groups here. We're looking to find out how many are in each group. But did you notice that we ended up with a negative? I wonder what we'll get in this next problem. We have 12 positives, and we're dividing by negative 4. Well, if you look back at this other problem that we just did, the signs were different, and we ended up with a negative. We simply divide. 15 divided by 5 is 3, but because the signs are different, we end up with a negative. That's the same rules that we used for multiplying. So we're going to do this over here too. 12 divided by negative 4. Well, what's 12 divided by 4? It's 3. The signs are different. When the signs are different, it makes it the opposite. So remember in the multiplication lesson, we said that when we multiply by an opposite, you get the opposite answer. Well, we are starting with a 12, and we're dividing by an opposite. We're dividing by a negative 4, which means we are going to get a negative. A couple more problems. We have negative 10, and we have to divide it by 2. It basically means divide it in half, right? Because 2 sections are, each section are a half. So let's pick a color over here. I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to just make one big loop over here to 10. Whoa, that's not quite 10. To 10. Back it up. Okay, one big loop to 10. Hopefully a little bit more control here. Halfway across, or 2 groups would make that to negative 5. So that's one. Here's the other. So negative 5 is my answer here. If we didn't have a number line, I want you to just imagine we had a negative 10, and we're dividing by a positive 2. The signs are different, so we will get a negative, and you just simply divide the 2 numbers. Now look at this next problem. We have negative 10, and we're dividing it by negative 5. Both of the numbers are negatives. So when I'm dividing by two of the same sign, I'm going to end up with a positive. So we're going to do the same thing again here. We've got 0 to 10, but this time I want to break it up into 5 groups, where I want to go to the -5. How many can I make? 2. I made 2 sections. Did you notice that these two problems are really the same fact? -10 divided by -5 is 2. The other one that we just did is -10 divided by +2 equals -5. They're all three the same numbers, they're just in different orders. I want you to remember this. Another key point I want you to doodle on is dividing by an opposite gives the opposite answer. So when you have two different numbers with different signs, you're going to end up with a negative. When you're dividing by the same sign, you end up with a positive. Last question for our day here. How do we write division? In other words, what are the symbols we use? The standard. Sometimes we also use a backslash to write division. Like that. So like A over B, this would mean to divide. And the fraction bar, and you know that from 5th grade, the fraction bar also means to divide. Anytime you see any of these symbols, that means you need to divide. Put your doodle notes somewhere safe, don't lose them.